Well, hello, fellow rebels. Hope everybody's doing well today. Welcome to my channel. Son of Sun Tzu here with you, getting ready to start Season 4 of my Antistasi Ultimate Solo Campaign series. This campaign, we're going to be on the map of Duala, and it's the Lombakka crisis for factions. As I've done with most of my other campaigns, I'd like to take this opportunity to go through my mod list and give you an idea of what mods are going to be used throughout this campaign, and then go through the game settings and the parameter settings, just in case anyone's curious and wants to compare my settings with what they're using. Also, in the video description down below, you'll find a link that'll take you to my mod list, as well as the backstory for this campaign and some interesting intelligence documents. I encourage you to go take a look at those. As I've already said, we're using the map Isla Duala by Icebreaker, as well as the Lombakka Crisis Factions by Flex 7103. We will be playing with a pistol-only start, and we're going to have a pretty big challenge. As you can see, we've got to take 14 resources, 10 factories, 25 outposts, 5 seaports, 1 military base, and 6 airports to achieve our goal of a total victory. So let's take a real quick look at the actual map. We are going to start the campaign in the southwest part of the map. You'll notice we have quite a few occupying forces around us. Also in the south center, 2 airports. And over on the southeast, outposts, cities, military administration buildings. Center of the map, dead center, fairly desolate, with 2 airports and a variety of outpost factories and resources on the coast. And up on the north, in the northeast, an airport, and then various seaports, factories, and resource points. And now on to the mods. Absolutely required for gameplay, you need Antistasi Ultimate the mod, as well as CBA A3. If you have those 2 mods, you really don't need anything else. However, if you want to enhance your gameplay, you can use a variety of mods. The ones I'm using in this series, and as I said, there's a link to those in the description down below. For AI enhancement, AI auto mount as vehicle gunner, AI avoids prone, AI helicopter decelerate no climbing, and I'm going to showcase one of those. AI auto mounts as vehicle gunner. Let's take a look at that and see how it enhances gameplay. So you'll notice I've got 3 of my fellas out here, and they are all just in regular, normal, everyday status. Not alert, not in combat or anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2, and we're going to put him in combat phase. And you'll notice as soon as I put him in combat phase, he jumps up into the truck. So let's put him into safe mode and have him disembark. Then let's try that again. So 2, where are you going? They got to be within 25 meters. So we're going to do 2. We're going to put him into combat mode. He's a little bit too far away. Let's tell you what, let's give him an order to go to the front of the truck. And there he goes. Sometimes it takes a bit. Other AI enhancement mods I'm using: AI Stow night vision goggles, Lamb's RPG cup, Lamb's turrets, and no more aircraft bouncing. I'm not sure how much the Lamb's mods are going to help or if they're going to conflict because they're not on the recommended mod list for Antistasi. Moving on to gameplay enhancement or quality of life mods, we've got better inventory, enhanced movement, and enhanced movement reworked. And yes, you do need both of those because of the dependencies built into enhanced movement reworked. And as far as better inventory, let's do a comparison with the better inventory mod and the vanilla inventory method. So let's take a look at the vanilla inventory system first. If you notice, it's very congested. At the top, everything's kind of just there. There's no individual compartments or anything. Now let's look at better inventory. Whenever you open it up, you're going to notice that things are laid out a bit different. Weapons on the top, uniform, vest, and backpack in the middle. Gives you the ability to switch stuff back and forth between your carrier, your backpack, your uniform. Just makes things a little bit easier. And you'll see that if you've never seen it in action as we go through the campaign. Some more quality of life mods that we have that we're using in this campaign: improved grenades, inventory dumper, ladder tweak remastered, and loot to vehicle Antistasi edition. Now, ladder tweak remastered again is an improvement over the vanilla method of climbing ladders, and let's take comparison of those as well. So here we have the vanilla version of ladder climbing. Let's just take a look at how slow and painful this is. All right, we're up top. Let's go down. Yep, it's very painful going up and down, especially if you're under fire. That was vanilla. Let's take a look at Ladder Tweak Remastered. Okay, so you remember how painful that was climbing up the ladder in vanilla? Ladder Tweak Remastered, going up. Ladder Tweak Remastered, going down. But wait, there's more. If going up and down wasn't fast enough for you that way, there we go up. And now let's go down. Woohoo! Yeah, boy. And you can set the hotkey for that. Go to Configure, Controls, find Ladder Tweak Remastered, and set your key binding right there. Mine's set for double F2. And there you have it. So let's move on and talk about some of the cinematic mods that we're using. Blast Core compiled by Iski. Death and hit reactions, which is crazy. Wait until you see that if you've never seen it before. And I'm going to wait until we get into the campaign to let y'all see that one. and explosive fuel containers. Some additional mods that deal with cinematics: helicopter hangar and office. You're going to see that as far as cutscenes. It's not part of gameplay, but it is part of some of the cutscenes that we're doing. And I'm actually doing a 10-minute tactics, techniques, and procedures video that'll showcase that a bit more. Also using JSRS Sound Mod 2025 and perceptive view distance to help set distance and audio levels. And since we're using factions that are cup, I basically have loaded all the cup mods, compositions, terrains, both core and CWA. Also have maps and maps 2.0 as well as cup units. And then, not to be left out, cup vehicles and weapons. And the rest of these, I'm not going to read them all off, but a lot of the Eden and Zeus mods, for those of you that have watched my videos before, you know that I create storylines within my campaigns, and a lot of those Eden and Zeus ones are to enhance the storyline. Okay, so that was it for the mods that I'm using. Don't forget that there's a link in the description down below that'll take you to the list of the mods and also to the links for each mod where they're located on the Steam Workshop. Let's move on to the game options that I'm using. Let's go to difficulty settings. Reduce damage, I do not check that. AI skill level, you can do custom or presets. I do normal. For situational awareness, group indicators, I leave those hidden. Shows the indication icons on the units in the player's group. I just keep those hidden. Friendly name tags, I use limited distance. You can either hide, show within a limited distance, or show all the time. I use limited distance, so when my AI guys are near me, I know who I'm ordering to do what. Enemy name tags, I leave hidden. Detected mines, this you can also hide all the time, show at a limited distance, or show all the time. I do limited distance. Commands I hide, waypoints I hide. As far as personal awareness, weapons info up in the upper right, I do show that just so I know which weapon I'm using and how much ammo I have left. I tend to forget those things from time to time. Stance indicator, though, I do keep that hidden. I play in third person most of the time, and I can see what position I'm in. Stamina bar I hide because I don't use stamina. I do show the crosshairs. I don't use vision aids. Third person I leave enabled. Yes, I do play in third person, sorry, but that's how I like it. Camera shake, if you're near an explosion or passing heavy vehicle and stuff, you get camera shake. Multiplayer stuff I don't worry about. Map content, I do show everything: friendly, enemies, mines at a limited distance, and tactical ping, although I never use that. And also, I do leave automatic recording check or reporting, automatic reporting. That's your text updates in the lower left corner, and I do allow for multiple saves. Also, at this point, you can go in and configure your various add-ons. Uh, for example, well, let's go to loot to vehicle. I do have that set to 150 meters. Loot to vehicle, instead of getting out and taking a loot crate to each individual location, I just do it from inside the vehicle. There's a scroll option. I have that set to 150-meter radius. I also have the inventory capacity set to unlimited, and you can do various other things on there as well. What other one did we just do? Enhanced movement. You can do various adjustments here. You can adjust your maximum climb height, maximum drop height without getting destroyed. Whenever you're assisting other players, get up if you're playing multiplayer and so forth. You can do various ones within that as well. Well, that covers the game options. Let's move on and get into Antistasi and go through the parameter settings for this campaign. And again, we are using Isla Duala as the map. However, we're referring to it as Lombakka since we're using the Lombakkan Crisis factions. We will be leaving the headquarters at the default location. And I do have a test bed set up already. This is because if we have any crashes during the game, I can go back in and have something where I can test whether it's a mod conflict or what might have happened to cause a crash, or if mods aren't working, whatever. We will create a new game using the old parameters, and we're going to call this Lombakka YouTube. So let's look at factions. If some of y'all didn't know, whenever you look at the faction list and you say, I thought there was a lot more factions than that, you can click override side limits, override camo limits, and show missing mods. The missing mods are grayed out. So if you go through here and say, oh, geez, I wanted to use the 3CB Shinar's Communist Militia, it's not loaded in the mod set that I'm using. You'd have to load that yourself, but this will show you all the other mods, all the other factions that are available. For our campaign, we are using, for our faction, the Lombakka Union Front. Since this campaign is set in Africa, we're using the African civilians. Occupants, the North Lombakkan Defense Forces with the United Nations. Yes, the UN are occupants in this campaign. And you'll notice as we go through, you'll see the blue berets and the blue helmets of the United Nations. Invading force, we have the South Lombakkan Armed Forces. And for our rival rebel faction, slow down there, the Bacano Armed Forces. And again, if you click the link in the description down below and go read the backstory and the intelligence documents, it'll give you a whole bunch of information on how our campaign is set up. As far as DLCs that we want to load in this campaign, we want to load the Art of War. We want to load the Laws of War. And do I want to load Apex? You know what? I'm going to load Apex as well. And for the add-on vehicle packs, we're going to do Vanilla Vehicle Pack, Apex Vehicle Pack, Laws of War, because the Laws of War Vehicle Pack has my favorite vans I like to use. And we're also going to upload the Cup Civilian Vehicle Pack since we're using Cup factions. Moving on to the various parameters. For basic parameters, once again, Rebel versus Occupier versus Invader. We do have a rival Rebel subfaction, and I'm going to use that with a medium difficulty for the rivals. Total victory for the victory conditions, which means we have to control all the seaports, military bases, outposts, factories, resource locations. What did I miss? And seaports. And have more than 50% of the population supporting us. Lost conditions, population death. Oh, for victory conditions, you can select one of a variety of things. Enable random events, yes, and I do use ambient sounds. I don't use the member option. We're not playing multiplayer. Enable mag repack, yes. Improve towing of wheeled vehicles, yes. As we go through here, enable autosave, no. And 15 minutes before a player's considered AFK. And yes, AFK if controlling a vehicle or controlling a drone or controlling Zeus. Garbage cleaner threshold disabled. Time multiplier, we're just going on normal time, 1-to-1. You can increase it to like 1-to-3 to where 1 day is 8 hours. Yeah, I ain't gonna do that. AI imbalance parameters. Spawn distance, 1,300. 300 meters to check around to see if there's nearby enemies for fast travel purposes. I like using the 10 and 5 for civilians on server and civilians per town. I've used that in every campaign, and it seems to be just enough. Civilian traffic medium. Allow talking to civilians, yes. If you noticed in 2 of our different campaigns, we've talked to civilians and have actually gotten intelligence from them. The one thing is you have to be in civilian clothes for them to talk to you, and you also have to be undercover. Zombie spawning, yeah, don't use that. Support caller. We're going to use the radio man as the support caller as opposed to the squad leader. See what kind of difference that makes. We will be recruiting enemy AI. Once you revive them, you can try to recruit them to your faction. I've also got it set to where we can recruit them to our squad if we want to. I very, very seldom use that, but I have it set up for that. Taking control of the AI, the time limit, setting that for 90 seconds. And allow players to take control of AI, yes. And the reason I have these set, Arma AI don't always make the most logical or intelligent decisions, especially if you're unconscious. Sometimes they'll stand right beside you and won't revive you. So I do have that set up to where you can take control. Initial money 500 and 5,000. 15% penalty on player death. Make sure you bankroll your money if you have any often. 8-player initial faction, my fellas, eight of them. You can set it to more. I don't care for that. I like starting off with 8 and keeping it that way. HR cap, I've debated whether to do this or not, and I'm going to leave it as no. Lose HR on death, I have that disabled. Support points for conducting airstrikes, recon missions, and so forth, I have maximum to set to 6. And we will be doing a handgun only start, so that is set to yes. I don't use TFAR or ACE. We're not using the contact DLC. I don't use combat recovery kits. 16-second time frame for revival. Self-revive, I do have that set to withstand. I hardly ever use rally point, but I do have that set to 10. I don't use fatigue or stamina. 25% weapon sway. Fast travel between friendly positions. And when fast traveling, I check for player only. I don't use the vanilla Antistasi style. 1 person to flip a vehicle. This is normally, I think default is 3, but since I'm not playing multiplayer, and garrisons 32 and 8. Now for overall enemy resource balance. The default is set to, I believe, to 1-to-1. I'm going to go out on a limb and set it to 1.7. I may hate myself for that, but that's what I'm doing. So the enemy is going to have more resources than normal. Enemy attack balance, I've set that to 1.2. And resource multiplier, invader to occupiers. Invaders are going to have a little bit more resources than the occupiers. I've disabled invader punishments. I've played with that before, and sometimes that gets out of control. I like it and I don't like it, but I'm not going to use it for this campaign. Speed of air response is normal. No change in preference for attacking targets closer to the HQ. AI skill level friendly and enemy both set to high instead of normal. This is the default enemy AI accuracy, as well as some of these others. These are all default. No napalm bombing, no unfair supports, no futuristic supports. UAV spawn chance at airfield. I'm going to go with 10% on that. Nah. 0. Yeah, 10%. Mission distance, 3,000 meters. That's the distance from your headquarters that you'll be assigned a mission. And the AI will man vehicles that are left near friendly locations, such as a headquarters. This is a little bit different than my mod for AI Automan's turrets. Miscellaneous balance options, these are all default. Um, Recon plane zone reveal distance. When a plane flies over, it'll only check 500 meters instead of like 1500 meters to reveal stuff. And limit AI custom loadout weapon selection by type. I have that set to no. Black market options, these are all default. Include vanilla weapons and arms dealer, yes. And I don't ignore the vehicle requirements. For example, you have to get certain weapons, you have to say, for example, have 2 seaports and a resource point. I leave that set as is. I don't ignore those requirements. Loot. 25 of each item to unlock the default. I leave these all as default. I believe they're all default. And I do allow unlocked explosives and guided launchers. Loot crates and loot helicopter, yes. Even though I use loot to vehicle. And I'm gonna leave that set to 100. If you buy a loot crate, it's 100. The loot crate will not ignore unlocked items. It'll collect them all. And then for all the maximum types, these are all default. I don't change any of those. I disable vehicle locks. Disable civilian vehicle locks. I still have to experiment with unlocking vehicles. I haven't done that yet. And let's see, what else do we have? Builder parameters, building boxes. Player classes allowed, both team leaders and engineers, and it'll be me anyway. So build limit 300 builds you're allowed, extra builds. I don't want to do infinite. The more stuff you add, the more it bogs down your system. When you use build box construction speed at 0.5, that's default. I don't allow building on roads. I do allow for, this is new, where you can, if you're putting a helipad out at your headquarters, it allows you to smooth the terrain if you're in hilly location. Persistent safe for Zeus placed constructions. Notice constructions. If you put a Zeus vehicle down, it doesn't necessarily persistent save. It probably will if you put it in your garage, but if you just put it out as part of gameplay, it'll despawn after your persistent save. And maximum amount of persistent constructions 250 for Zeus Place stuff. Experimental stuff, I just use traditional for location defense capture area. You can disable the AI's virtual artillery. I'm leaving that alone, even though I kind of hate getting nailed by enemy artillery and mortars that are off map. So I don't disable any of that. I'm not using lock picks. And let's see. Is this new? And enabled if downed AI cannot be revived by any unit within their own squad. Okay, I'm going to enable this. To where other AI can attempt to revive AI that are outside of their squad. And I'm going to set that to 50 meters. I've never noticed that before. Why haven't I noticed that before? Huh. That's interesting. And I don't use extender stuff, so I don't need to do that. So there you go. That's our factions, our DLCs that we're using, vehicle packs that we're using, and the parameters. The only thing that's left to do is start the game and move on to episode 2 to where the real action begins. Again, thanks to everybody for joining us today. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations about tactics, techniques, procedures, gameplay, parameters, mods, anything of that nature, drop it in the comment section down below. If I don't know the answer, I'm sure there's somebody out there that probably does. And again, we will be moving on to Lombakka. Episode 2 gameplay starts. I hope to release that within the next few days. The 4th of July holiday has put me back a little bit on my schedule. But again, thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the battlefield.